Like the beginning, the ending of a musical composition is a special moment. Just as the beginning of a composition needs to create some kind of question or suspense, the end needs to resolve all suspense and should give the listener the feeling that the piece is really complete, that it doesn't need to go any further. There are a few very rare exceptions, which I'll discuss later, but normally the listener should have no doubt that the piece is complete. Just as in a novel, where the last chapter normally resolves any questions remaining in the plot, the end of a piece of music, when properly realized, has a very satisfying feeling. Here's an example of a problematic ending. Nothing here prepares the listener for the ending. The rhythmic momentum of the eighth notes just stops, the harmony before the cadence, the E minor chord on the last beat of the third bar, doesn't lead convincingly to the following dominant to tonic progression, and the tonic arrives in the weak part of the beat. It just sounds perfunctory, like the composer just got bored and went on to do something else. This is a small example, but this problem, not preparing the ending, is very common in music by composers without real craft. How could we make it better? What about this version? This is definitely more convincing. Why? There are many things I've changed here. First, the final tonic arrives on the strong beat, so it feels more like a resolution. Second, the final cadence is now preceded by a climax. The top line goes up to the high B and then the high C before coming down. The bass also reaches its lowest register right before the ending. The deceptive progression at the start of measure 5 creates some tension. We're expecting a tonic, but the 6th chord makes a detour, so when the final 5-1 does arrive, it's even more satisfying. This is a good example of how some special moments, climaxes and endings in particular, are often much more the result of preparation than just local events. In effect, our second example is better because it builds up expectations, then thwarts them with the deceptive progression, so the final resolution is more satisfying. Now this was a very short example. Many larger pieces also end with climactic endings, for example the majority of classical symphonies. One common fault I often see in students' attempts at longer pieces is to end with a rather tepid climax. Normally a longer piece will have several climaxes along the way. If the last one is not the biggest one, it can sound disappointing. Since the ending is, by definition, the last thing we hear, it should not be a disappointment. It's also important to remember that the preparation needs to be proportional to the dimensions of the piece. A symphony lasting half an hour needs more than 2 seconds of preparation for a climax ending. Another very common kind of ending is the fade-out. What about this? This kind of fade-out ending is everywhere, and in fact that's the problem. Imagine Beethoven's Fifth Symphony ending like this, repeating a dominant tonic progression, say 10 times while fading out. While it's true that we would know the work was over, it would be so unrelated to the overall mood preceding it that it wouldn't really sound like the appropriate ending for that piece. This brings up an important point. A composer who aims for the best possible expressive result is not satisfied with just any ending, but rather will seek out the one that best fits the music's character. It's not a coincidence that the fade-out is so common in background music or film music, since these are both situations where the music isn't the priority. But a music that's meant to be listened to with full attention, we expect the ending to somehow fulfill what has come before. Yes, one could end a spy thriller novel by just having everybody die from a pandemic, but somehow that would not really resolve the issues raised in the preceding story, and therefore would leave us unsatisfied. This is not to say that all fade-outs are bad endings. The real test is whether they convincingly follow from the music's preceding character. There are occasional exceptions to these principles. For example, an ending that just stops before the end of a fade-out. This could be justified, for example, by a late surprise in the storyline of a film. Another seeming exception could be an ending to one movement in a larger work, not the last movement, that leaves some kind of suspense unresolved. This could be a way to tie the various movements together into a larger whole. But in general, if the ending seems perfunctory, it's because the composer is not doing their job properly, and the result for the listener will be disappointing.